Good morning, Titans Nation. Welcome into the Morning Glory Show. I am your host, as always, Jake Robertson at Glory Days Sports on all socials. Today, I'm joined by my beautiful co-host, as always. We have Jonathan Miller at Esports Valen over on Twitter and B-Will at BWillTFTV on Twitter. Make sure you check out, follow. If you're checking us out for the first time, make sure you head over to YouTube if you're on Twitter or Facebook. Go subscribe over there, join the chat, and if you're on Twitter or any of those other platforms, make sure you hit like, comment, subscribe, retweet, do all of the things. But how are we doing today, boys?
Good, man. Can't complain. Titans hit it out the park with another schedule reveal. I ain't gonna say just as good as last year, but it was fire. I mean, the social media team's doing their thing.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I'm going to be honest. I was a little critical. I thought that it was rough to see it because it wasn't as good as last year's, but I really do like the style, and everybody really enjoyed it from the national media standpoint, so I won't complain. They did a great job, but I'm interested to kind of talk the schedule because this is a interesting one.
Anytime we can get national media on our side, man, we're doing good because they hate us.
Right.
I don't know what we do to them people.
Look, FanDuel, the 33rd team, ESPN, everybody was jumping on it. So you know what? Kudos to the social media team for doing their job, which is giving us exposure, and it was great. So good for them.
Yeah, I agree with you, Jonathan, that it wasn't as impressive as last season's, but I mean, it hit what they were trying to get across, and it got the national media on our top side, and maybe not as much as we'd like to. We got the one primetime game this season, Week 4 in Miami, which we'll get into here in a little bit. We did kick off rookie mini camp last week as well. So my first question to both of you is J.C. Latham a bust because he's built like a right tackle and didn't push Big Bertha on his first rep?
Absolutely. I'm so disappointed that he didn't get that sled pushed the way he should have got pushed. I mean, he's a first-round pick, number 7 overall, if I'm not mistaken. He should be pushing the sled how Bill Callahan wants him to. Even if it's a prototype, he should already know how to do it. It's inexcusable.
I mean, did you guys see the 4th-round pick for the Jags? He moved that sled with ease, with confidence. Yeah. Okay, we're screwed. And we spent the 7th overall pick on this guy. What is Carthon doing, man?
Ridiculous, man.
Outrageous.
Ridiculous.
No. But obviously, we're going to hop into the schedule, and we're going to break it all down for you. We're going to give our entire season predictions, which it might be a little early for that because, I mean, we don't even have a 53-man roster. We haven't had OTAs yet. So this is going to be a fluid thing. But don't hold us to any of these. We'll make our final projections before the season starts. But it's good to know where the Titans stand today. So I'm going to kick us off here with Week 1. We're going to Chicago. Caleb Williams, newly minted, future Hall of Famer, if you're listening to the media right now. This really reminds me of when we went to Cleveland in Baker Mayfield's year 2. When they were that media darling. They just brought in Odell Beckham. And Delaney came in, and he just said, you got to play us first. You got to get by us. And that's kind of what I see similar to this. Caleb he's a great prospect. Chicago has had their rough outings in the last recent years, and I think they are going to turn that corner. But for a rookie quarterback to come, or for us to go there and to play a L'Jarius Sneed and a Chidobe Awuzie and a Roger McCreary on the back, and I don't care who their receivers are. I love Rome Odunze, and I love who they've got there. But I don't think it's going to be an easy outing for them in Week 1. I think we go into Chicago and smack them in the mouth. So I have the Titans starting with a dub. How about you boys?
Yeah, I mean, I'd say the same. I predict a win, too. You can put me down as a win here. Last year, I'm not going to do what I did last year, I'll be honest. Last year, I got a little carried away. The fandom carried me away a little bit. I predicted about 11, 12 wins last year. That's not fucking happening this year. I can tell you that now. But this one, I will say that we should get a win, real quick. I mean, it's, we got Rome Odunze, the other receivers they got there, DJ Moore, we got Keenan Allen. But, luckily, when we look at the schedule this year, it's a lot different than last year where we're like, oh, my God, who the hell is going to cover the 1? We got Snead. So we got a guy that's going to cover the 1 in DJ Moore. We got to figure out, Keenan Allen and Rome Odunze. But we have serviceable guys to do that. Caleb Williams is going to be looking down the pipe, pause, and he's going to see Jeffrey Simmons and Devondre Sweat. First year, welcome to the NFL. So, I'm confident in us that game, even in Chicago.
Yeah, you can mark me down as a win as well. I think that we win in Chicago just because it's nice and early. I mean, we don't know what Caleb Williams is going to be and how he's going to kind of, react to the NFL game. I will say he has all the tools. That's what makes Caleb Williams great, right, in terms of being a prospect. But what we don't know about Caleb Williams yet is how is he going to react to the speed of the defensive game, right? I would imagine that Denard Willison is going to dial up a lot of pressure early on, really get him off of his timing. And then, of course, I guess the biggest question mark is going to be, not just getting to the quarterback, but covering these primary big three receivers. I'm sure they're going to try to get Swift, in early and try to get him going. So they're a good offense. They're a really good team. I think it all depends on how Caleb kind of gets the NFL game figured out. So I think the Titans are fortunate to draw Caleb Williams in week 1.
I am really worried, though, man. I mean, they were crowning him MVP Rookie of the Year after he was throwing some routes on air. Did y'all see that? I mean, he looked exceptional.
Throw a couple 10-yard digs, and they're like, whoa, this guy's amazing.
Crown him.
Right. Yeah.
Jets, we got to face Aaron Rodgers week 2. I'm glad it's not week 1, I'll be honest.
Yeah. So I guess I'll start us off in week 2 with the Jets. This is our home opener. Unless Aaron Rodgers goes out there and tears his Achilles on the 4th play of week 1, we're probably going to see him. This is an offense that's high-powered. They're bringing a lot of their key members of the team back, including staff. So I would suspect that the hype, there's still a ton of hype around this offense. I'm not super sold on what this team is going to be. I'm sure that if they have a hot start, that they'll probably end up, being early contenders or in that conversation. But for me, it's a good team. They lost some key pieces on the defense. They added a couple of nice pieces as well. You could argue that this offensive line improved greatly in the offseason as well, to where we might not even see Olu Fashanu. He's probably not even going to play at all unless they slide him to right. But they bring in guys like Morgan Moses, Tyron Smith. They add some serious meat to the offensive line, which is a big part of where they were struggling. And they added some nice playmakers. They got Malachi Corley in the draft. They add Mike Williams, wide receiver from the Chargers. So they have some talent. So I think this is probably a loss for the Titans, only because I'm not 100% sure what this Titans team is going to be. I think we'll find out early in the season. And who knows? I think there's a good chance, this is going to be the hardest schedule to predict. I'm going to be honest, guys. So we kind of have to just follow consensus. So I'm going to give them a loss.
Yeah, I'll probably give him a loss too, unless the FBI gets to Aaron Rodgers before week 2. He just did that interview with Tucker Carlson. So if he does another one of them, he might not make it. They tried to get him last year, week 1. Yep. They missed and got him in the Achilles. So, we'll see about that. But if he makes it to week 2, I don't see us winning that game, to be honest. And like you said, Olu Fashanu, we're already going to get the Olu Fashanu Bowl. So excited to see that. So I don't think we'll win here. I think that defense is tough, man. They got Big Q there. They added the fellow from Philadelphia. They got Sauce Gardner. Yep. And you're adding Aaron Rodgers to a team that was already really good last year. Don't get me wrong. Saleh he did well with that team considering who the quarterback was. They didn't have shit at quarterback, and they did well last year considering. So I'm worried about this game. I don't think it'll get out of hand or anything, but I don't think we'll win it. It'll be close. But
no, it sucks this is the home opener because this is a very tough game early in the season.
Yep.
And if Aaron is back to form, maybe those shaman ayahuasca treatments are getting to him and he's back and he's doing good. I think this is a tough game. I think ultimately this might come down to the running game and Breece Hall and co. I mean, he's a stud. He's going to be a year removed from that ACL injury. And I loved him coming out of the draft. So I think ultimately that might be how they hurt us the most. But I mean, they do have Garrett Wilson and them as well. So ultimately, I have this as a loss as well. And as of thus far, we are in unison as all wins in week 1, all losses in week 2. And I do see the route for us to win this game. But I do agree with you, B. Willard. It's going to be a close one. But you want to go ahead. Let's go ahead and go to Green Bay.
All right. All I ask for week 2 is that Titans fans don't go crazy because we got a hell of a D line we'll be facing at home opener. So please do not get a hand. We give up a couple sacks. So the Green Bay game, Green Bay's gonna be tough, man. I got really high expectations for them coming out the NFC, and I know it's at home, but I do not have us winning this game against Green Bay because Jordan Love. It's gonna be the Jordan Love show. They got 3 young receivers that are gonna do really well. That defense is gonna be really strong. And that run game is going to be tough to combat with Josh Jacobs. So that's going to be Josh Jacobs. A.J. Dillon's coming back. And A.J. Dillon didn't have that good of a year last year, but Josh Jacobs added into that LaFleur offense is going to be scary. He's a younger Aaron Jones, and it was scary with Aaron Jones. So Jordan Love, Josh Jacobs, that's going to be a tough matchup. I don't have us winning this game either. So I got to start off 1-3.
Go ahead, Jonathan.
Yeah, I also have us losing at home against Green Bay, which is a bummer because that means that our double home opener or double home slate in the first month are losses. I think I'm really high on Jordan Love. He played phenomenally well in the playoffs and all through the season, really. But they found a way to lose some regular season games that they shouldn't have. Towards the end against the Giants, they definitely should have closed that one out. I don't think that, again, this is one of those games where I wouldn't be surprised if Tennessee found a way to win. Like it seems every single year, regardless of how good or bad the team is, they always find ways to win games they're not supposed to and lose games they're supposed to win. So, I wouldn't be surprised if this ended up being a win, but I'm going to give it a loss because I think that Green Bay is going to start the season hot. And who knows, like I said, I think it can go either way, but for this purpose, I'm going to give them a loss.
So this is where we finally have the first contrarian, and by no means it's me. I've had this as a win in going against Green Bay. What I see in Green Bay is a very similar team to what the Titans currently have. I think there just might be the L'Jarius Sneeds of the world and the Jeffrey Simmons. I think this defense takes over in this game and is able to cause some turnovers with Jordan Love. And I think if Will Levis can, on the opposite end, control the clock and move the ball efficiently, I have this as a win and the Titans starting off at 2-1 before they head to Miami.
Yeah, I think it's possible. I will say is let's see what our defensive line ends up being. If Tavondre Sweat is, as big of an impact as we hope he will be, and if Arden Key can put it together for more than 2 downs, if this defensive line is as strong as we're hoping they can be, then I think that's where the Titans have the advantage in the matchup, right? Not just in the secondary, right? Because obviously Romeo Doubs, Christian Watson, they have some good receivers. But I think that, if we get some coverage sacks and control the clock in terms of, keeping them from staying on the field, then I think it's a very possible win. But it's got to start with the defensive line. I think that's the key matchup in that game.
We don't have a guy on the edge that's going to stop that wide zone. We don't. So this is a loss. And any team we're facing that runs wide zone exclusively is going to be tough. It's just going to be tough. I mean, and that's something that we talked about in the draft process. It's a hole. We know it's a hole. You can't fill all the holes in one offseason. So any team that runs wide zone more than likely will kill us. I mean, that's just what it is. Rashad Weaver ain't going to do nothing to stop it. Arden Keys, he's just – that's just the hole that we have. So pick your poison. They're not going to throw the ball all over the park. So it's more easy to win that way if we're giving up the gashes in the run game versus giving up, bombs over top of our head like it's Baghdad. But, I'm not optimistic against any team that is a, really wide zone Shanahan type offense because they're going to kill us. And then that leaks into the play action game. But Miami, I mean, they don't really run the ball. They've got a lot of speed. And if we don't stop the edge there, it's going to be tough in Miami. What do y'all think about Miami?
I can go ahead and kick it off. Basically, we're going to Miami for this game, and this is that get back for Miami. And I think they're going to come out tough, and ultimately I see this as a loss. I do think last season we lucked it out, and we played really well. I think if this was a week 16, 17, 18 game, I think it could go in our favor. But for week 4 and this new staff, I just don't see them keeping up with the speed on the back end of what Miami's bringing to town.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be tough. I'm not going to give us a win here. I'm going to give us a loss here as well. Just like you said, the speed that they have, they added more speed. So here's the thing. We're going to see Olu Fashanu in week 2, and we're going to see my guy week 4, Malik Washington. I'm going to have stroke out if he has an amazing game against us. I'm going to be pissed. So, we're going to see with Malik Washington. But they've got so many weapons there. Waddle, Hill, Washington. It's going to be tough to stop. I mean, and you got McDaniels over there hitting a vape on the sidelines in Miami with aviators on like it's New Jack City or Narcos, dialing shit up. So, I think this one can get out of hand. And I'll be honest. I think out of all the games on our schedule, this is the one that can get out of hand. If McDaniels is over there cooking the plays up with a vape in his hand, and Stephen Ross is sitting over there looking at his neck yacht he's gonna get with a 20-year-old in the press box. It could be trouble. So, but luckily we got a bye coming out of that, and then we'll be fine. Miami, yeah, give me a loss. I think it's gonna be trouble.
Yeah, I was looking at the ticker for the live show, and it took us about 16 minutes to mention Malik Washington and potentially being super angry if he goes off. But that's real. That is so real. I'm hoping that he is just sidelined because there's so much talent and he just doesn't see the field. But let's be honest, it's going to happen against the Titans. But guys, I'm going to be honest. When I first looked at the schedule, something just told me like this is a win in this game. But I'm not going to give us a win on this one. I'm going to also go with a loss, but my gut just tells me that this feels like a game that's winnable. But tell me I'm wrong though, bro. Like we win so many games we're not supposed to, and we find a way to lose so many games we're supposed to win. Now,
say we're going to win it.
Is that the Titans or is that Vrabel?
No, that's the thing. I think it's a Vrabel thing potentially. This team is so hard to predict. I so desperately want to give this team 10 wins for the entire thing. I'm going to be honest. I just don't know if we're going to get to that. I'm trying to be completely objective. So, look, I'm just giving you my thoughts, but I'm going to go with the loss here. It's early in the season, like Jake said.
You don't want to do that. You don't want to do that, Jonathan.
I can't. I don't know if I can listen to my heart yet. I have to listen to my brain right now. Go with the loss. That's the thing to do.
All right, let's get
if they were coming
10.
to Nashville, maybe I could see it. But
if this was at home, I could see it. This is leading into the bye. I think double losses at home kind of the reason why I'm struggling is because I don't know if this team starts 1-3, but maybe they do because the first 4 games here are pretty challenging. So
tough.
It is what it is. I
mean, we're officially a quarter into our predictions, and we're probably looking at a 1-3 or a 2-2. If they come out 2-2, I'm tickled pink. I'm tickled pink
100%.
out of that.
100%.
I don't know how likely it is though, and I'm predicting it. But I mean, we're not going to be favorited in any of these games. Not a single one.
No, Chicago will probably be half. It'll probably be half point going both ways.
I think late it's going to be pushing towards Chicago since they're at home. And it's Caleb Williams. But yeah, I mean, week 5 we got the bye, and week 6 we're going to Indy.
I'll kick us off with Indy. So this is our first divisional game of the year. It's at home, which is a plus. And again, if you look at
shoot,
of course they are. Jesus, of course they are. If you look at our games historically at home with the Colts, those are games that the Titans lose. Again, I don't know how much of history we want to go off of here. I'm sure sports books will have the Colts, favored by a touchdown in this one, and I wouldn't be entirely surprised either. But something tells me coming off of the bye, having fresh legs, having a fresh mindset, maybe if we do see a 1-3 start, I would assume that Brian Callahan and team are going to go back to the drawing board and say, okay, why are we losing these games? What adjustments can we make? He's a really good, adjuster. And I feel like they are going to be able to pull that off. So I actually have the Titans getting the win in the first matchup with the Colts. And I think it's going to be really crucial in a very competitive division. So I will give the Titans uncharacteristically a win at home against the first division opponent.
Yeah, I think we're going to win too coming out of the bye. I mean, these guys are going to be 1-3 going into the bye. It's going to be a lot of talk, sports radio, sports media. in Nashville about what's going on. Is it catastrophic in Nashville? Did they make the right decision? They're going to have their backs against the wall. Well, Levis is going to have his back against the wall, and that's the guy I want with his back against the wall, especially going into the first division game. And then we have, Indy, Nashville. It's going to be rocking because it's going to be Indy coming to town. They've been talking so much shit, them and AR. So I'm really excited about this one. I think it'll be a win, and I think we can win by 2 touchdowns here. I think it'd be a big one.
Ooh.
I see it being close, a lot closer than that. But ultimately, I have this as a loss, and I think the Titans are just going to historically struggle with Anthony Richardson and what he does well, getting out of the pocket. I mean, the edge defenders are going to struggle against AR, I have a feeling. So ultimately, I have a loss for the first game against Indy. So at this point, we're all tied up, and as how we see it playing out, just slightly different. And then we are going to
hold on before
Buffalo.
we move really quick. Just quick logic on that, Jake. I think when I was thinking through this game, who is a guy who is very good at game planning or maybe going up against a very mobile quarterback that's on our defense now? Denard
That's
Wilson,
on the
right?
defense, Denard, yeah.
Right. So like he had to play against Lamar Jackson in practice every single week for a while, right? So to me, I think there's a good chance that Denard has a solid scheme against a guy like Anthony Richardson, and it's not just going to be edge, contain that's going to matter in this one. I think, Anthony Richardson, a lot of the times, at least from what we saw from him, they're going to want to let him throw the ball as well, but to your point, he's gonna tuck it and run. I mean, that's a big way that they scored in the games that he did play. So I think there's a good chance that they have a solid game plan going in against him, especially off the bye. They have a lot of time to prep for him. And then not only that, but also take into consideration, we're going to have, 4 weeks of Anthony Richardson tape to look at, 5 weeks if you include their week 5, right? So
that's a big assumption, Jonathan.
I think it's solid. So we'll see.
That's a big assumption you made there, Jonathan.
Oh, that we're going to have 5 weeks of Anthony Richardson tape? Yeah, maybe so. Maybe not. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, you said he was in there in practice with Lamar Jackson for the last year or so. Then he had Jalen Hurts before that. So he's got a good experience with mobile quarterbacks. It's all he's seen in practice, over the last couple of years. Buffalo, we got another mobile quarterback in Buffalo. This is going to be a tough game. I see us winning this one, though. This is one of those bogey games that I see us having, where we're not supposed to win. We go up there and find a way to get a win. I think we beat Buffalo up there. They're not going to be as good as people say anyway. So, Buffalo ain't going to be Buffalo.
Yeah, I agree. I think Buffalo is – I also have us winning this game, even though it's in Buffalo. I just don't know. Like, offensively, they are just very underwhelming. Keon, I like Keon as a prospect. I think he's a good player. But it's like the Traylon Burks effect, where you have a really good player – who is taken, mid to late first round, or in this case, in the top of the second. But he is just a good player. Like nothing he does is exceptional in my opinion. He catches the contested ball really well. Maybe that's the part of his game that's exceptional. But he's not going to create insane separation. Like I don't know if you guys, maybe I'm read too much into camp, but just watching him run routes is just slow and clunky at times. And so you put L'Jarius Sneed on that poor soul, he's not going to have a good game. So I think that, it's a win for the Titans as well, because this Buffalo team offensively should be a little underwhelming from years past. So that's kind of where I'm at with that. And they lost a ton of talent on the defense as well. I'm not super high on Buffalo.
No, I think cap casualties came to roost in Buffalo. And if I had to pick a team to go from one of these contenders to take a step back, I think it is Buffalo. Obviously, Josh Allen can put the team on his back and keep them moving forward. But like you guys said, I don't think Keon Coleman is that guy. They lost Stephon Diggs. They lost Gabe Davis to a huge contract in Jacksonville. But ultimately, I still see Buffalo pulling it out with them being at home. I think this will be a very, very close game as well. And I think Josh Allen just takes over. This is one of those ones that's a flip it.
Is Josh Allen throwing to himself in this scenario?
He might be. And if I had to bet against a guy to do it, I think Josh Allen might be that dude. But yeah, I do have this as a loss at this point.
I'm just glad we don't have to see McDermott in September.
No, 100%. And Stoney put that in the comments. We really don't have a lot of cold games this season. Just kind of looking over it. Washington in week 13 is going to be cold. Week 16 in Indy, and then those last handful of home games will be pretty cold. But I mean, it's not Buffalo December cold by any means. Well, all right, we're going to Detroit after that. So we're staying on. We really don't have any West Coast games this season either. Now that I think,
which is good.
Yeah.
No. Our furthest game west is what? Freaking Cincinnati.
Cincinnati.
What the hell? We don't even cross
Houston,
the Mississippi.
right?
So that's a good thing for fans. We can go to a lot of away games this year. We don't even cross the Mississippi this year.
Not only that,
we go to LAC. We go to the Chargers.
Oh,
so
yeah, shoot. I did see LA. Yeah.
Oh, I thought we were playing the Chargers at home. Oh, you're right. We're in LA.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, besides that, I think the other thing that this schedule gives us is that, a ton of noon games, a ton of normal prep weeks for the coaching staff, for the new coaching staff, which I think is a really, really big deal. So, yeah, I think in a lot of ways, this is super favorable for the Titans. And it sucks we only got one primetime game, but when you stink, like that's just what it is. So we can't be too upset about that. But yeah, I think there's a lot of advantages to how this schedule plays out for the actual team. If you're talking about just scheduling, travel, things like that.
Dude, I hate primetime games. I'll be honest. I don't like them. I'd rather us either do 12 or 3 and be done with it. Because, it's longer you got to wait on the weekends. I'm
Right.
a wreck. I'm a wreck on Sundays already. So
Yeah, that's a
I
good
want to
point.
get this. I want to get this show over with.
Monday night is my least favorite of all the primetime games. But I feel you, like Thursday is cool because it's soon, but then you have a long wait for the next game. So that one's not as much fun. But yeah, I feel you. I'm kind of the same way.
Detroit, though, I think we're going to. Detroit, it's another one. It's going to be like Green Bay to me. They're going to run the shit out the ball, and we got to stop it. And I don't think we're going to stop it. And they got a hell of a defense up there. They're going to have some juice in Detroit. So, yeah, I got us losing this one. This one could get ugly, too. So this one and Miami are the two worst games on my schedule where I circle that if you're going to take the spread, you might want to take it.
Yeah, Jake, I don't think we have to spend very long on this one, do we? This one's a loss for many reasons. I mean, the Lions in some ways got better. They lost a couple of key players, but added a ton of talent. I loved what they did in the draft. They were just like, give us 2 fantastic corners. Thank you very much. And so they filled a massive need in the secondary and then added some good talent on the defensive line. They went and got DJ Reader. They drafted, I think it was Micah Hyde. Is that the name? I'm probably messing that up. They drafted the tackle. Come on, Stoney, help me out. They drafted the tackle out of LSU, late round talent, but the kid looked pretty good. I liked him as like a late round addition. So they added some key talent at some key positions on the defense. And to me, they stayed strong on the offense. So this is going to be I will say this about the Detroit game, a true litmus test of, can you, from an offensive standpoint, from a defensive standpoint, can you withstand the offensive juggernaut? And from an offensive standpoint, can you duel with a high-powered offense? So how Will Levis and the offense looks against Detroit should tell us if this team is built for January.
No, we're all in agreement. This is L's across the board. Jared Goff just got paid. I think this is where the Titans want to be a year from now. They want to be the Detroit Lions. And I think they're putting a lot of good pieces in places, but it's going to be a little bit too much too soon. I do see this probably being a blowout, which leads us into New England, which I see a very opposite of that. They'll have Drake May out there. I think this could be a game that we blow out New England. This could be the first 30-point game is what I'm going to say. I think Drake May, didn't like him. I mean, I liked him as a prospect. I didn't like him where consensus was. I didn't think he was the second best player in this entire draft. And I think it's going to take time for him to get the cohesion with his staff, which I'm not super convinced on either. So I do definitely see this as a win, and I think this could be the turning point of the season is what I'm kind of looking at.
Yeah, I see the same. I see us beat New England pretty handedly in Nashville. I think it'll be a good game to go to. It'll be Hopefully it'll still be a little warm there, and the defense should look really good against Drake May and that New England offense, because that New England offense is putrid. So, we'll see about that game. I think we'll win pretty handedly. Might be the only game we're favored all year.
That is a good point. Yeah, I have us winning this game as well. I think the Drake May Jalen Polk connection will probably be pretty strong, and they'll probably surprise some people winning games again that they probably shouldn't. But I don't think it'll be this one. I think at this point, especially coming off of how tough of a schedule Tennessee will have, I think, if this team is as resilient as Brian Callahan and his staff would like to say, then this should be a pretty easy win coming off of a very tough first 8 games or 7 games or so.
Perfect. Well, that puts us at the halfway point into this.
Where we at halfway? So Jake, you got us 3 and 5?
Yep, 3 and 5.
4 and 5, 3 and 5, or 4 and 4. Jeez, I got us at 4 and 4. I've been talking a lot of shit to have us at 4 and 4, wasn't I?
Hey, we'll see if we get that double-digit wins like you were talking about by the end of this.
Dog, you see how fandom does you?
Wait. No, wait. We're I have them the same. Jake, you have me giving us a loss at New England, but I said we're gonna win.
Oh,
yeah. So
thank you, Jonathan, for getting back into the boat with me.
Yep.
Yeah.
Don't let me be out there stranded by myself.
Well, let's break it down really quick, guys. We agree that the first 4 weeks of this season are going to be really, really tough, and it's likely that we end up 1 and 3. But after the bye, we have what I think are some, minus the Detroit game, some very favorable situations. Like, this is a Buffalo team that's not nearly as good as they have been in the past. This is a Colts team that is talented, but we get them off of a bye, and we think that there's a good chance that there's a get back there, especially since it's a home game. And then New England should be a gimme. It should be. So I think that it's very, very possible that we can win 3 of those 4 games, and then put us right back at 500 going into week 10. So yeah, I don't think it's ridiculous.
I don't think it's far-fetched. I don't think it's too crazy, fandom-wise either. I think it's pretty logical to me.
No doubt. You want to? I guess I'll kick us off for week 10. Then, Jake, do you have any thoughts in the first 8 games?
No, I think this is just a really tough schedule. Even though we were 4th in the division last year, I think somebody came out and posted. I apologize, I don't remember who it was, but this is the 4th hardest schedule in the NFL this season.
Yeah, strength of schedule, my ass.
yeah. This is a tough schedule, and it's very front loaded. So I think that might bode well for us, just because it's going to take time for this team to build cohesion with the new coaching staff and all these new players. And I would maybe rather take those easy L's earlier on and then be able to build as we progress through the season. But
it's going to bode well for Will Levis.
Yeah.
So just imagine if this was flipped on its head. No, but just imagine if this schedule was flipped on its head and we had that gauntlet to end the season, and that would be the taste in Titans fans' mouths on the back end of the season, and a pivotal year for Levis. That would be bad.
Well, in a way, we do have a gauntlet at the end of the season. Like, if you look at it, I think 5 of our 6 divisional games are in the final 7 weeks of the season. I mean, that is literally the last 7 weeks. 5 of them are divisional games. So in very many ways, if this does go the way that we're predicting, right? Let's say that me and B-Will are consensus and we're 4 and 4 after week 9. Then going into the back half of the season, you have a couple of games that could maybe go either way, but then you have Houston, you have Jacksonville 2 weeks after that, then you have Indy 2 weeks after that, and then Jacksonville, Houston to end the season. So, I mean, we're probably going to be in playoff mode if this team is sitting at 4 and 4 going into week 10, where you hope to steal a game against the Chargers or Minnesota or whatever. And then it's like, okay, we got to start winning our divisional games. And so the one thing that's exciting about the Titans schedule is that even though, like, to your guys' point, it's front loaded and very competitive and hard, if you can get, go into week 10 at 500, then that's best case scenario for the Titans. Cause then it's like, okay, now we have to come online at the back half if we're going to be playoff contenders, and they have a chance to do it. So, this will be a great litmus test again for Will Levis, who is like, is he the guy? Okay, well, all right, Will, like, you're going to get put under the fire, because going into the back half of the season, you have to potentially try to win the division in the last 7 weeks of the season. And so that'll be fun to watch.
And either way, I don't care where we're at as a team. You should be competing for the division at the very minimum. That's my thing. That's my expectation going into the season, before the draft, before free agency. This is before L'Jarius Sneed, before Calvin Ridley, you should be competing for the division, especially this division. Not saying that it's bad, but we should be competing for the division. So,
Yeah, I think the first year that Jacksonville won, it was a couple of years ago. The first year that they won the division since the AFC Championship run for them, they had a similar situation where they had like one divisional game early, and then they had like all their divisional games like back to back to back, basically in the final like 6 weeks of the year or whatever. And then they were able to string a couple of those wins together and then beat the Titans in the last week and make the playoffs and win the division. So, I think that the Titans have a chance to do something very similar here. And, again, should make for some not only exciting football, but also, again, a great test for Will Levis to see, like, are you the guy? Here you go. Here's some pressure week to week to week. Let's see how he handles it.
For sure. What do y'all think about bully ball in LA?
Okay, so week 10 against the Chargers. I have us winning this game. So I think the Titans are going to win in LA. I think the Chargers are going to be a very Titans-esque team. I'm a little confused. We'll see. The offensive staff here is known to want to, be grinders, run the ball effectively, throw the ball when you need to, type of thing. We understand that all too well. And we also understand that if you're playing an offense that can put points on the board consistently, that style of play just does not win football games late in the season. So I think that there's a good chance that Callahan goes, okay, we know this style of football. We've played against it. We know it can be successful, but we're going to put some points up on you consistently. So that way you can't just try to run the clock out and control the ball, right? So I think the Titans do a good job of scoring against this defense that is not very good, in my opinion. So I think there's a good chance that we leave LA with a win here.
Yeah, that defense is shambolic, but, Justin Herbert, if he's healthy, I don't see him losing to us in week 10. I think Justin Herbert will do his thing no matter who he's throwing the ball to, just because I'm that high on Justin Herbert. And I think Harbaugh and them are going to run the piss out the ball, and that's one of our weaknesses. It's going to be our run defense, especially on the edge. So I got us taking a loss here, especially since it's in LA. First road trip out west. A lot of things that Callahan and them have to navigate. It's going to be a long road trip. Do we get there early? The questions are going to be, do we get there on Wednesday? Do we get there on Thursday? This is going to be the first time that he has to navigate this, and Harbaugh is going to be well seasoned by week 10.
No, I'm in agreement. I see this as a loss as well. I think Harbaugh and co are going to be able to game plan around Will Levis and this offense, and I think this could be a grindy win for the Chargers. I don't know who Justin Herbert's throwing to, and if it's Quentin Johnston, I worry about that team, but I think they'll be schemed up enough to get it done. And then we get to travel back home, Minnesota.
Yeah. Real quick before we go to Minnesota, I say that defense in LA is shambolic, but that's based off what it was last year. That defensive coordinator they got from Michigan's the truth. So that's going to be interesting to see. I mean, they say he's brighter than McDonald. So, we'll see. That's what they say. Well, so I'm eager to see what he does.
You can have the best defensive coordinator. If the guys you're coordinating are not very good, then that's a problem, right? So I don't love their secondary. This is a Christian Fulton get back game, and he's not going to get back. The only thing he's going to get back is maybe another injury from some Nashville offensive players. So I think that it's a Titans win, and I'm glad this is our first discrepancy where I'm the guy on the other side. So interesting.
I'm predicting Fulton has a good game against us.
Okay, all right.
Put it down.
Revenge
Put an
game.
asterisk next to this game.
He ain't even going to be out.
I can't tell if you're trolling or not.
On IR for 6 weeks at that point.
Put an asterisk next to it.
All right. Well, we come home for Minnesota after that. And this is one that I battled with. I've had this as a win, a loss, a win, a loss. And I am ultimately thinking this is a win for the Titans. JJ McCarthy, I just don't think he's it. And at week 11, I think there's still going to be some growing pains there. And I think we should be able to put up points on this defense at home. And I think this is my probably true turning point. And if this is a loss, I'm kind of writing us off of the playoffs at this point. But I do think they win this in Minnesota.
Do you think how do you think they roll the red carpet out for Jettis when he comes to Nashville week 11? I don't think he'll have a deal done by then.
I'm going to doubt it. I think
don't-
this is going to drag out as far as it can drag out, and I think it's going to get messy. I think it's going to get real messy.
I think it'll be a bad breakup.
Well, it's Justin. It's his advantage, right? Because like now he's like they're like, okay, we got our quarterback, and then he's going to be like, okay, let's see how this quarterback is, and then now he gets to play with him, and basically determine like, okay, I really like this guy, I'll extend, or I do not like this guy, I'm out of here regardless, right? So they have some now. Of course, you deal with the franchise tag, and it gets messy. I think at that point they'd probably just trade him for, a grip of picks and maybe a player or whatever. But yeah, I agree with you guys. I don't think he's just going to extend in the early season. I think he's going to see what he's got in his quarterback.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a win, though. I don't see us losing to JJ McCarthy. I can't wait to face him in two. I absolutely cannot wait.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see what we do to him. Pause. It's going to be bad.
I agree. This is a win for the Titans. I think that, I same sentiment. I share the same sentiment on JJ McCarthy. I mean, it's week 11, so he's got a chance to really grow a lot in that offense, but we'll see. I think that, again, offensive firepower, they have great skill position guys with Jordan Addison, Jay Jetta, Hawkinson. They have great talent, but I'm just not sold that McCarthy is going to be the guy like late in the game that's going to win you the game, which is what I said about JJ McCarthy all off season. So let's see if he proves us wrong. I don't think he's going to.
I absolutely cannot wait to see Snead versus Jettis too, for the record. Cannot wait to see it.
Agreed.
Going to Houston. I can't wait for this game. I'll probably be in Houston. I try to go to every Houston game we have. It's really fun. There's a Houston Titans tailgate that they have down there every year, and it's exceptional. Very, very good in Houston. And, of course, Houston is always, to me, the best city on the schedule that we go to. I love the city of Houston. Hate the team, but I love it's amazing down there. Food's good. Women's better. It's, really, really, really good down there. But I got us losing here. Yeah, I got us losing here. So Stroud and Slowick and them, I don't see us having a chance week 12.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think this is a loss, especially the fact that it's in Houston. I think Houston's probably going to be rolling at this point in their season. They have a tough schedule too. So again, who knows? But this one feels like a loss. That's just the best way that I can put it. Not a whole lot to elaborate on from there.
Tank Dell will be up and going by then too. So I'm, early in the year with the break that he has, I don't see him getting off too hot of a start. He'll be up and going by week 12.
No doubt.
No, I see it the same. And likewise, I'll be in Houston as well. Have been the last 2 seasons. So Jonathan, you gonna make this trek and join me and B-Will over in Houston for this game?
I might have to. I've never been. And I'm pretty sure a plane ticket there is like mad cheap. I used to live in Dallas for a couple of seasons, for a couple of years. Super affordable. I'm just afraid I'm gonna get in a fight if I go to Houston, man. I'm not a huge fan of their fans, but
they're not bad.
No, it's not bad. The tailgate's awesome. Chili Pepper and Ryan Newton usually put those on, and
cool.
It's a cool place. It's good times. I sat on the home side last season, and the fans, they get a little chippy. But it's all fun and games during the time. And there wasn't a lot of Titans fans left in the stadium by the end of it last season. So, but yeah, I see this as a loss as well. CJ Stroud, and I mean, this is going to be the battle for the division at the top, and it's going to be Houston, then everybody else. So yeah, I see it as a loss as well, which leads us into Washington. We're traveling to Washington, and this is going to be one of those cold games. We had to anticipate it. Jaden Daniels. I like what they're doing. I like the way they've drafted. I like the way they're building this team. I think it's just maybe just a little bit too soon. I think next year is when we can start talking about Washington as moving up in their division as well. So I think this is a win, is how I have it, and was going to Washington and grabbing a dub.
Yeah, I don't see us winning this game either. I think Jaden Daniels has a really good game here if he's healthy. If Jaden Daniels makes it to week 13, he runs around when he's playing. He looks like Sonic the Hedgehog when he gets outside the pocket and gets hit. I mean, he does some crazy shit. I don't know what's wrong with that guy. But if he makes it to week 13, I don't see us winning that game just because Kingsbury's up there. They got Kingsbury's up there, ain't he? I thought he was.
Yep.
Yeah, I thought he was.
He's
So
OC.
Yeah, so Kingsbury doesn't have to worry about any people management. He's just worried about X's and O's, and that's where he's best fit. He can't be if he's in charge of people and he's doing anything like that. I mean, you saw him in the Menzel documentary. He's not a good role model. So we need him. He's calling plays. Jaden Daniels, if he's healthy, I think this will be a tough game for us. I think they'll get the win.
You're wildin'. This is a win for the Titans. Houston, I'm with Jake. Sorry, not Houston. Washington. I don't know. The whole Jaden Daniels experience is going to be interesting. He might end up being the best quarterback out of this draft, or he might kind of have some stalled progression for that exact same reason. I do like Cliff Kingsbury in terms of development and him, like you said, B Will, just getting to just be the orchestrator of the offense, because I do think that that's what he does a good job of. And obviously he's had some recent success too with Caleb and Kyler. I thought he did a pretty good job. I think he just mismanaged the team. So yeah, I'm with you. I think that this offense is going to be interesting and fun to watch. The defense even has some pieces that I feel like is still decent, but I just don't love their situation. Johnny Newton, is he even going to be available this year? Who knows? He's got both of his feet are broken. Apparently, he's got a Jones fracture in both feet. So I think there's a chance that he could be back by week 13. But it looks like he'll miss the bulk of the year. I don't know. I'm just not really, really big on this. And who knows? Who knows? Maybe Dan Quinn will have this defense humming. This could be a team that's probably better than what they look like on paper. But I'm going to give us a win here because I think that the Titans are probably going to be the better team at that point in the year.
Even without Newton, that defense line's nasty, man.
It is. They have a really good defensive line. They're kind of like similar to the Titans, where they have like a good, you could maybe argue theirs is better, but good defensive line. I think our corners are better, and then the middle of their defense is like who's playing there. So I don't know. I think at this point, how late it is going to be in the year, I think the Titans are going to come online a little bit and be a better football team later than they were earlier. So I have a win in Washington.
Schematically, I see us struggling against Washington's defense. Dan Quinn's going to sit in cover 3. He's going to cloud over the top, and we don't have anybody that's going to take the top off the defense or break any tackles underneath. We just don't. I mean,
yeah, you're right, B. Will. We don't have the best player in against zone coverage for the past 4 years. I wish we had that guy. Oh wait. We do have that guy. His name is Tyler Boyd. I think that they're actually going to be well positioned against that type of defense. And that's kind of why I'm giving the nod to Tennessee, because I think that offense is going to be able to kind of move the ball and dink and dunk and keep control of the ball. But the thing that's interesting here is that we have a completely different outlook when we look at our team now. It's like, what's the run game efficiency going to be like? Is Tony like, are they splitting carries? Is Tony Pollard going to be like, 2/3 of the carries? Like, what are we looking at here? So that's why I'm super intrigued and why what we're doing right now is so hard to do, because who knows? This offense could be completely dynamic and should match up well against most defenses. But at the same time, we don't know what they're going to be really good at or not so good at. So, yeah, I have them winning in Washington for that reason, but I am intrigued by what that will look like long term for the team.
I think that our defense is going to play very well against this team, in my opinion. I think Cliff Kingsbury is actually maybe the most overrated play caller in the NFL. I didn't think he was fucking good at Texas Tech. I don't know how he got the Cardinals job. He got the job because Kyler Murray was the first pick and Kyler liked him, is what I thought. I think.
I like Kingsbury, man. I think he's a good offensive mind. I don't think he's anything more than that.
He's the free app version of Lincoln Riley, and I think that's what they were trying to get, and it just didn't work out. And he's going to keep getting jobs just predicated off that and who he's worked with. But that leads us into Jacksonville. You want to start us off on this one, B. Will?
Yeah, I got a sweep in Jacksonville this year. I'll say it before we even get to Week 17. I got a sweep in Jacksonville. So, at home, I think we'll kick their ass. And, Trevor Lawrence will be up against the wall. Doug Peterson will be up against the wall because I don't think they're going to be good this year. I think they'll be pretty bad. That's my thing. They don't, receiver-wise, they're relying on Gabe Davis. That says enough as it is. And Trevor Lawrence, I think he'll struggle this year, to be honest. I think it's going to be a come come to Jesus in Jacksonville with Trevor Lawrence, and I think that we'll sweep them, and that's going to really they're gonna end on a sour note after they get swept by us.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat actually. I actually have the Titans sweeping the Jaguars as well, since we're talking about it. Yeah, I think, for me, getting to see them in week 14 and week 17, I don't think the season's going to go quite as they hoped. But we'll see. They have some talent. The team didn't change a whole lot. I still think this is probably a team that ends up being like 8-9 or maybe 9-8. I think Jacksonville is still a good team. Like, they'll still beat the lower half of the spectrum teams. But yeah, I just think we're probably going to get another mediocre year from Trevor Lawrence. Who knows? Maybe we're just being Titans fans when we say that, but he hasn't shown us anything yet. So I feel like in very many ways, we're kind of in the same boat with him as the Will Levis and the Anthony Richardson side of things. Can you make the playoffs? Can you dish it? Like, CJ Stroud showed us that. So, Trevor's been to the playoffs, obviously. He's won a game. They won a really amazing game in the playoffs, actually. It's very impressive. But that team is very different. So we'll see if he can do it again. I just don't think he's going to do it against us. So I have us winning in Jacksonville.
I don't think Brian Thomas does nothing against us. They're going to say, well, we got Brian Thomas Jr. Okay. Yeah, we'll see about that, how he does.
Right.
I don't know. I saw him run a slant route against Air and a dig, and it looked pretty
He looked
solid.
Exceptional. Rookie of the year. Yeah.
Didn't have any wiggle. He was right into it. He might be the replacement for Calvin Ridley.
Yeah.
He might be better than Calvin Ridley day one.
What's more annoying?
Off his base. That's true.
What's more annoying, all the draft stuff, or right after the draft when we get all these clips of rookie camp where people make predictions off clips off air?
Yeah, the clips for sure.
It's the clips, and it's. You put a ladder drill out there, and Kyle Phillips is the future star of this team.
Right. Yeah.
It's
MVP,
the same
glass
for
man.
every team. You're just looking. We're looking for content at this point in time, and fans are doing the same thing. So
last year you thought Chig was going to be MVP the way the Titans social media team pushed him. I'm glad we ain't seeing that shit this year. I know better.
No, and it's going to be such a breath of fresh air. I think we're actually going to see a lot more drills in camp. We're going to actually see some 11-11, some 7-on-7s. We're going to actually get to see a few more clips, which I think is going to expand upon Will Levis just doing the same bag drill every week for all 17 games, where they just run through and they throw a pass. So I think it's gonna be a breath of fresh air, and it might help us, but it also might hurt us as far as fandom goes. But yeah, I see this similarly. I see a win in Jacksonville when they come to town. I think we're going to have their number this year is what I'm kind of thinking, and
cool.
for very similar reasons. And then we have the reunion. We have the reunion.
The
Callahan
Bowl.
gets to play his former team. This is Cincy, even before we got Callahan, they've given us issues in the last 3-4 years. I don't think we pulled out any games. And then ultimately they beat us in that Super Bowl run. The Titans
got them last year.
Yeah, we smacked them at home last year.
I blocked it out from my memory.
Yeah, it was like a touchdown win. Yeah,
Joe Burrow was on one leg.
Ankle. Yeah. No,
I felt bad for him. We killed him.
Yeah, Joe Burrow's not allowed to stand when he's playing against the Titans. And so hopefully he knows that.
Man, if he goes down to another injury this season, he's got his contract coming up. It's going to be very interesting if they pay him high money, because the talent is there. The health has been the biggest issue.
He's already paid.
Did they already pay him?
Yeah, he's paid.
I'm tired today, obviously. I do see this as an L, though. I'll say that. I do see Cincy pulling this out in Nashville.
Yeah, I see the same. I think, Burrow, it's going to be tough. I don't think Cincy and Taylor are going to do any favors for us. And they're going to be in an absolute dogfight around this time of year in their division. So they're going to come down here seeing us as just, fresh meat. They got to get us. They got to get a win. They're marking this on their schedules. This is when we can get a win late in the season, sort of get us up in the division. So it's going to be tough. I got us as a loss.
Yeah, this is another one that I want to give us a win for, but I won't. I think that we got the better part of their offense in terms of that play caller in Brian Callahan. We also have, this is also the Tyler Boyd get back game as well. So I think in my heart, it says that this is a win for the Titans. I'm going to give us a loss though, because I'm going into this entire prediction show objectively without emotion, letting my heart take the sideline. But I do think it's important to note as we look back on this throughout the season that certain games just feels that we should lose. Probably going to be a win, but I'm going to go with the loss here for the reasons that you guys mentioned.
We've mentioned Tyler Boyd's name a lot for a guy that's not going to get over 500-600 yards receiving.
Interesting.
We have. I mean, we have.
I would take that bet right now. I think he's over 500 yards receiving for sure.
I'm taking under. We can have a bet on that. Let's do that.
Okay.
We'll figure out something we can bet. I don't think he gets over 500 yards receiving, but we'll see.
I think it really plays out to what does Traylon Burks finish out, and that's going to really affect the Tyler Boyd line, in my opinion.
Does it though? I don't know if it does. Anyways, that's probably a whole nother show. But yeah, I think there's going to be some solid production from Tyler Boyd. I mean, that's all he's been, is a production machine. So you got to think like they bring him to Nashville for that reason. Like Brian Callahan's like, bro, give me that guy. So yeah, I'm pretty high on Tyler. I think he'll be over 500 if I had to assign a number to it.
It's like his legs are gone. It's like, and he's never really been relying on it, but he's gonna catch the ball and sit down. I mean, and how many times he's gonna have to do that to get over 500 yards?
I don't know about you, B. Will, but I would have taken a receiver that can catch the ball and sit down for the past notes decade plus, right? Like, so I think that.
I mean, I'm not saying I wouldn't.
Adam Humphries was paid to be.
I'm not saying I wouldn't take him.
He did a pretty good job. So yeah. I'm a big fan of Tyler Boyd. I think his reliability, his dependability is also something the Titans have been lacking. So I think there's a good chance that he has a strong presence in the offense. I think 500 is pretty achievable. Maybe 45 to 50 catches for 500 or so yards. 4 or 5 touchdowns. I think that's very, very obtainable for Tyler.
All right. Well, that leads us into Indy for the second game.
I'll kick us off.
Yeah, go ahead.
Please.
In Indy. So I think Tyler Boyd has 3 touchdowns this game. No, I'm kidding. Yeah. So in Indy, this is a loss for me. Just I think that it makes sense. What's interesting is that this will probably be flip-flopped in reality. We'll probably lose at home against Indy and then go to Indy in week 16 and win. That's probably more likely, but for the sake of sticking to my guns here, I'm going to go with a loss in Indy because I think that we split. I think this also is pretty dependent on is Anthony Richardson playing the entire season. And then obviously them just, kind of putting it together towards the end too. And I would imagine the Colts are going to be competitive regardless if Richardson is available or not. But I think there's a good chance that we just end up losing this one because it's a home game against Indy, and I think that we end up splitting. So that's my logic. That's what I'm rolling with.
Yeah, I have us going to Indy week 16 losing to Joe Flacco, honestly. And, that's what – I don't see Anthony Richardson playing in this game. I see us losing to Joe Flacco week 16. It's going to be close, but I see us losing this game. And that's fine. Splitting with Indy is not bad. That's not terrible. You're not going to be pissed about splitting with Indy at any point, especially the way we fared up there in Indy over the last few years.
Yep.
No,
ever since Henry broke his foot up there, it's been bad.
I see this series the same as you guys, but I do have it flopped. I had us losing the first one. I have us winning this one going into Indy. And this last 3-game stretch is going to determine the AFC South. Indy, Jacksonville, Houston, back to back to back. This is going to be where the Titans might be at the bottom of that. When you see those little trackers coming out from NFL Network, it's going to be like, oh, they're in the hunt. They're in the hunt, and this is all going to fluctuate throughout then. We'll see if the AFC South put out a wild card and the winner. So we'll see how that plays out. But, yeah, I think we go into Indy, smack them around a little bit, and I think it would probably be Joe Flacco as well. And then we have
I don't know, Jake. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The only Titan I think that'll be in the hunt by week 16 is going to be Traylon Burks. I don't think we're going to be in the hunt. I'll be honest. Traylon Burks will be down there hunting some hogs in Arkansas on IR. I don't see us. I don't see us in the hunt, to be honest. But we'll see. I have us winning the last 2 games of the year though in Jacksonville. I have us going on there beating Jacksonville. So like I said, I have a sweep in Jacksonville. And it's going to be pandemonium in Jacksonville week 17 when they're struggling and Trevor Lawrence is Trevor Lawrencing. And Doug Peterson, he already fired the whole offensive staff last year. So who else is left to fire after this year? He fired the whole staff last year, so I got this little.
The answer is him. He's the one that's left to get fired.
Yeah.
And that'll happen if Jacksonville has the type of season that we might think that they have. But you know what, guys? I think the NFL is telling us something. I think we're overlooking a small detail. Do you see week 18? Do you guys also notice how it's TBD? That's because I think the NFL thinks that the Titans and the Texans are going to be fighting for the division, and that could be potentially flexed into a primetime game. So all I'm saying is interesting week 18. For sure. And I think that there's a good chance that the Titans are in the hunt, and the way that my schedule prediction breaks out is exactly that'll be a division crown based on week 18.
You have Houston at what? So we'll be, by your prediction, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 wins going into week 18. You think Houston will be around the same?
I think Houston will probably be at 10 wins regular season, but I think that the division is going to be close enough to where that win would give us the division win if we beat them.
Right. I see your logic here.
Yeah. And so thus week 18 would
see your master plan. I see it coming together.
Yeah. So I think there's a good chance that week 18 gets flexed into a primetime spot, maybe a Sunday night game. Or maybe a Saturday evening, something like that, because it seemed like the NFL liked to do that with the Week 18 games. I think I know we're kind of skipping ahead a little bit here, but I have the Titans beating Houston in Nashville as like a playoff game, and then the Titans winning 10 games at 10-7 and getting the edge over Houston. But then I think Houston with that loss likely ends 10-7 ish also, and then they squeak into a wild card.
That gets them a wild card. 10 wins gets you a wild card this year, just because how tough the AFC North is.
Yeah. So I think there's probably I might have the scenarios jumbled, but I think it's a scenario where if Tennessee wins, then they're in. If Tennessee loses, they are not. But if Houston loses, then there's a chance that they're in, and a win secures the South. So maybe I'm getting a little convoluted here, but I think that there's a good chance that happens.
I think, so I think we're all aligned on week 17. We got to win. We can go to week 18, right?
Yep. We got week 18, Houston. I see this as a loss. I just don't see them pulling it out. I think Houston's just going to be pushing into the playoffs at that point, and it might get flexed. And we might play spoiler, but I just don't see that happen. And so, Jonathan, you have 10 wins. I have 8 wins. Will, where are you finishing up at?
I got us winning this game because Houston's already going to have the division won. That's my thing. I think the
starters.
There's a good chance
I think they sit the starters against us in week 18, and we get a win there. That's what I think. I think they'll be at 11 probably. So I think they'll already have 11 wins going into this game. They very well could be trying to fight for a number 1 seed, but I think Kansas City will get the number 1 seed. The AFC North will be beating up on each other. Houston should have the 2nd seed with 11 or 12 wins. So as long as they're there, I don't see them playing the starters against us week 18. I have us winning the game against them because we're not going to see any of the starters.
Awesome. Well, that puts it up. I just want to kind of look over this. So we're kind of consensus on what? The Chicago game is wins, Jets is losses, Miami is loss, Detroit is loss, New England is wins, Minnesota is wins, Houston L, Jacksonville is wins. Cincy. And then Jacksonville again. Oh, and where's Cincy? Oh, yeah, as L's. Yeah. Awesome. Well, that wraps it up, boys. Any closing notes on anything?
Well, we got, so yeah, real quick, and I know, we're going to wrap this up. So we got Jake. What do you got us at? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, what? 8, 7, and 8?
Wins.
Or 8 and 9?
8 and 9, yeah.
8 and 9. I got us at 7 and 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I got us 8 and 9 as well. And then Jonathan has us 10 wins. So 8-9, 8-9, 10-7. With that being said, you're way too early predictions. Are Titans fans confident in Will Levis by the end of next year looking at this schedule?
I would say I am, given my prediction.
If he stays healthy and this is how it plays out, I think they are going to continue building around him. Yes, I do believe that.
Me too. I think so too. I think we're all aligned on that.
Yep. No consensus. Us picking at 4th in the draft next season.
Yeah, I don't see
over
it
here
happening.
if you're looking at PFF and stuff like that. We are not going 16-0 is what
Almost.
I'm afraid of. But yeah, this is the Morning Glory Show, guys. If you guys are checking us out for the first time, make sure you head over to YouTube, type in Glory Day Sports, join us for these live chats. We're live here every Thursday morning, same time, same place. Stay shit showered, shaved, and get your mayo in your cups up because it's always time to tighten up every Thursday. But we'll check you guys out next week, and catch us in the comments. Peace. Love you guys.